Moms, what moment made your life fall apart? The moment my life fell apart was when my 6-year-old son looked at me and asked, Mom, why does Grandpa call me someone else's baby? I froze. I almost dropped the plate I was washing. He'd never asked that before. I turned off the water, knelt beside him, and smiled as calmly as I could. What do you mean? He shrugged. We were drawing pictures together. He said, I have your smile, but someone else's eyes. Then he asked the question that shattered me. Who's my real dad? I told him we'd talk about it when he was older. But the truth was, I wasn't ready. 7 years earlier, I'd been engaged to my college boyfriend, Ryan. 3 months before our wedding, he disappeared. Not because he wanted to. He died in a car accident on his way home from work. I found out 2 weeks later that I was pregnant. Those first months were a blur. Grief, morning sickness, funeral arrangements, learning how to become a mother while saying goodbye to the person I thought I'd grow old with. When my son Noah was born, I promised him something. You'll never feel unwanted. 3 years later, I met Daniel. He was patient, kind, the type of man who never tried to replace Ryan. Instead, he simply loved Noah as if he'd been there from the beginning. When Noah was 4, Daniel officially adopted him. We became a family, or at least I thought we had. Then Daniel lost his job. It wasn't anyone's fault. The company closed. But my parents immediately blamed him. Dad started making little comments. A real provider would have seen this coming. Mom would sigh every time we visited. I just worry about Noah. Slowly, their comments turned into conversations with Noah whenever I wasn't around. They'd tell him stories about Ryan, show him old photographs, tell him how lucky he would have been if Ryan had lived. At first, I thought they were just keeping memories alive. Then the questions started. Why don't I look like Dad? Why do Grandma and Grandpa keep saying I had another daddy? Every question felt like another crack in our family. I confronted my parents. Mom cried. Dad became defensive. We're telling him the truth. No, I replied. You're telling a 7-year-old half the truth. Because they never mentioned the nights Daniel stayed awake when Noah had pneumonia. They never mentioned who taught him to ride a bike, who practiced spelling words every evening, who never missed a soccer game. To them, DNA was all that mattered. Then came Noah's school family day event. Kids were asked to bring someone important. I expected him to choose Daniel. Instead, he asked if he could bring both Daniel and Ryan's framed photograph. The classroom went completely silent. He stood at the front holding Daniel's hand, the photo tucked under his arm. Then his teacher asked, so who's this? Noah smiled. This is my first daddy. He lifted the picture. He died before I was born. Then he squeezed Daniel's hand tighter. And this is my forever dad. He does all the dad stuff. I looked across the room. My parents were crying, real tears. After the event, Dad walked over to Daniel. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Finally, Dad quietly said, I've spent years trying to make sure my grandson never forgot Ryan. Daniel nodded. I understand. Dad looked at Noah laughing with his classmates, then whispered something I'll never forget. In the process, I almost made him forget who was raising him. That night, Dad apologized. Not to me, to Daniel. For the first time in 7 years. Now Noah is 12. He knows everything. He knows Ryan gave him life. He knows Daniel gave him a childhood. Sometimes people ask him if he ever wishes he'd known his biological father. He always smiles. I wish I could have met him. Then he points toward Daniel. But I already know my dad. People always say blood is thicker than water. Maybe, but every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every hug after a nightmare adds up to something blood alone can never build. Because being a father isn't the man whose name is printed on your birth certificate. It's the one whose footsteps your child runs toward when they need to feel safe.